And welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me this week is Mike,
aka Pezman Mike.
And I guess we should just state right now, this is the last episode. Yay! I mean,
wait, it is?
Well, I mean, unless you go back and listen to other episodes, that is not the last episode.
There you go. You could actually start over from episode 1, and then you can have it'll be in syndication.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to episode 1 because it's really poorly mixed and stuff. But I learned a lot in 3 years. But this is a 3-year anniversary. First of all, I should say that 3 years, Mike. That's a long time.
Absolutely.
You've been doing your podcast for 3 years too, right?
January 2017 is when I.
Crazy.
Yeah, I did a faux pas when I was on the on Red's the Well-Read Mage talking about Out of This World.
Yeah,
he's like, when were you doing your show? And I'm like, I started in January of 2007. And he was like, wow, that's incredible. And I'm like, wait a minute, why are you so excited? And I'm like, oh, did I say 2007? I meant 2017. I was like, whoops. I've been doing this for a while. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's our last episode. It just, it's too much to run a show and have a family and all the stuff like that. So, but
the life of a podcaster is very, 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 very busy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a lot of late nights editing shows and writing articles for the site and doing reviews and playing games and
turning down scammers.
Exactly.
Hey, are you interested in advertising? No, I am not.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was, I will say the last 3 years has taught me a lot about broadcast and about running a podcast and running a business, because it kind of was like a business, except I wasn't getting paid. And it was fun. I had fun. And I met a lot of really cool people. And I got to interview a lot of really cool people. And I made really cool friends. And I was really happy. I'm really happy about that part.
Yeah.
So those parts I'm going to be really, really happy about. It was just, it was sacrificing my time with my family. And I couldn't continue to do that. So that's why I said, hey, I need to stop. So yeah, last episode. But I just want to thank everybody for the support that they've given us over the last 3 years and all the friendships I made. And yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's we have some things to talk about today. We have some reviews that we wanted to do as part of our last episode, and we do have a giveaway in our last episode here too. So let's roll on with the show. So let's do our reviews first, Mike.
Okay.
So it's the first game. We have 3 reviews we want to talk about on our last episode here. The first game is the Trails. I keep wanting to say Trials. Trails of Cold Steel 3. Have you played any of the Trails of Cold Steel games?
I didn't know there were any Trails.
Well, there was 3 of them.
Oh.
Actually, I think there's actually more games than that in the series as well. So it's an RPG game. It's a turn-based RPG game. And I will say this. So if you haven't played the other ones, you probably should play the other ones first before playing the third one. They do have a nice feature in there that you can watch the recap of the other 2 games and catch up with what's going on. But I will tell you, playing through it, there is moments in the game that's they introduce this character and oh, there's this character, remember them? And I'm like, nope. Nope, I don't. And then there's this character, remember them? Nope. And I feel like if I knew them, that would have been really important moments meeting them again, because your character is oh, here they are again, amazing. And I'm like, I don't know who this person is. So the story is, your character in the last 2 games was a Civil War hero in the previous games, and now they come back to teach at the school where he was a student at, and that same group that he was a student with. And so now you are leading a next generation of students And in the game, the gameplay is great. I mean, it's turn-based RPG, and it plays like an anime. I mean, it's really, really well done. And the voice acting is awesome, and the combat's really good, and it's a great game. My biggest complaint of this, Mike, besides the fact that you have to play the other two games, and that's not a complaint, it's just, I didn't play the other two games. The biggest complaint I had was, there are times where I sat through 45 minutes of story. I am not kidding. Yeah. And so if you're really into the story and you're really into the game, I think you would love that. But man, sitting through 45 minutes, and a lot of times, like I said before at the top of the show, I don't have a lot of time to play games, so I'm like, I sat through 45 minutes and I didn't do anything. And then the worst part was, I'm like, I gotta go, and I couldn't save it. So guess what? I had to go through it again. Well, I was able to skip through it, though.
Oh, that's good. Oh, shoot.
But that one time I was just like, oh my goodness, come on, I have to go through this again? There's a lot of story in the game. Yeah. So expect that, but the combat is really good, and the game is really well done, and the voice acting is great. So I gave it a B+. I really liked the game. I thought it was well done. It's just, like I said, you really have to play the other games before jumping into this game.
Yeah. All right.
So
what system is that on?
Oh, that was on PS4.
Okay.
Yep. So, and you played a game, Stela?
I do have a game to review, yes, and its name is Stela. And I'm not going to yell the name, because every time someone says the name Stela, well, except maybe younger people who don't know much about Streetcar.
Stela!
Yeah, that's what yeah. What game are you playing today? Well, I'll tell you. So I played, I'm reviewing the game Stela on the Xbox One. And if I think actually somebody asked me, like, what's that game like? And I said, have you ever played? Oh, I think it was Blue. She said, what's that like? I'm like, have you ever played Limbo? She's like, yeah. I'm like, there you go. So it's a 2D platformer with some light puzzle elements, mostly sneaking around, avoiding the bad guys. There's no real combat in it. The way you take out enemies is by manipulating things to fall on them, I guess, in the environment.
Wow.
So
it's like a puzzle. Is it like a puzzle platformer?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle platformer.
Okay.
Like Limbo or Inside is the other one that is similar to. So it's a lot like those games. So I'm gonna start with what I enjoyed about it. And what I enjoyed the gameplay. The controls are spot on, no issues. I mean, there's only really two buttons that you use besides the D-pad. One's jump and the other's grab. You use slide and push boxes to climb up on them or do other things. But that's pretty much the only control. So the controls are very simple. I also enjoyed, the game can get really intense at times when you're being chased by something, or you have to like make a perfect jump right after you're sliding down a hillside. And, if you don't time that jump perfectly, then, you don't make it.
Yeah.
There's parts, a lot of different environments. There's like a forest, a desert, a tundra, all other stuff. And there's some good stuff in it. Like, there's part where you're running in the snow in between rocks, like rock piles.
Yeah.
And as you're running, there's these creatures that are in the snow underneath, kind of like Tremors. If you're awesome, if you love the awesome 90s Kevin Bacon vehicle, where you can see like the trail coming at you, and they have it programmed. So right at the very last possible second is when you have to jump to get on that next rocks, so that the monsters don't get you. But there's the creature designs are pretty cool too. It's even starting off, like when you first start off in the game, like you're being chased by a swarm of beetles, and then there's these creatures that look like something out of like almost like the Slender Man, or just like very interesting design. You've got to avoid them and hide from them in the shadows and all that, So it's really good. And then it gets to, and then it moves to like I said, these different environments. And then it gets weird. Yeah. Yeah. Just in terms of where you go after that, you're okay. So, but basically you play this character, and you wake up basically in this, like shack.
What?
And yeah, like
That's
a
so
shack.
weird.
Like, yeah, I know. You wake up in this shack and you bust out of it and you basically make your way across this world until you get to the end of the game, go left to right, all that other good stuff. So again, like I said, the controls were great. The gameplay is awesome. It's had a lot of really intense moments in it. So I did enjoy playing it. On the downside, though, the game is short. I was able to get through it in one sitting.
Wow.
It only took me about 3 hours to beat.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's not, you're not going to be playing this for a long time.
Is there a lot of replay availability to it or not?
I don't know. There really isn't.
No.
You play through it once, that's it.
Huh.
The second is I was very disappointed in the story. In that there isn't one.
Oh, what?
There's a lot that they like. My character wakes up in this shack and I'm like, all right, we got this mystery. How did I get here? What's going on? There's no dialogue in the game. So I go out and I'm getting chased by these beetles, and then I'm being chased by these monsters, and then I get to a point where like the forest is on fire and all these arrows like are shooting up and then falling down, and I'm like, oh cool. So I'm like, is there a war going on? What's happening here? And then my character falls down a cliff, lands, gets knocked out, and then it shows somebody walking up to my character, and then the character wakes up in a temple, like an underground temple.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, well, who is this mysterious person? I don't know. They never tell me.
Weird.
And so you make your way through all these areas, and there's like ancient ruins or, all these other things that I'm like, okay, but what's happening? What's going on? I don't know anything. I want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
And then I get to the end of the game, and I don't want to spoil what happens at the end, but at the end I'm like, I didn't learn anything.
You can't even spoil it if you want.
I can't even spoil. I mean, I could spoil what you do at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I'm still just as confused as I was at the beginning of the game. And I think that's kind of a bummer, because they did a really good job at setting up this world, and the environments are so nice, and the creatures, and all this other stuff. But it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, where did all this come from? What's going on here? The only thing I was able to ascertain was from the description of the game in press releases, basically saying that the world is ending or something like that. And that's all I know. That's all I knew.
Oh.
I don't know if there's like secrets or something that's left for interpretation, but if there was, I didn't catch it. So I do apologize if there was a story laid out.
Yeah.
Well, because games like SteamWorld, I always come back to SteamWorld Dig. Like you get a full story, like a full history, as you're digging down further and further. You kind of get what the history of the Steam based robots are, and what happened to the humans and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that wasn't there.
Oh.
So if you're just looking for a few hours to kill of some fun platforming. It's definitely a good game. I would recommend picking it up. If you're looking for something deep and something spiritual, I would probably look elsewhere. All in all, I gave it a B, because again, it's a good game and it plays very well. I had no problem with the controls or anything like that. Just like I wanted more. Like, I was left wanting more. There should have been more.
Yeah, and it's like one of those games, I feel like those types of games should have more of a story.
They should have a story.
Well, yeah, they should have a story.
A story, yeah.
A story. Some story. Something going on in that game.
Give me something.
Yeah. Cool. The last game that we have to review is Destiny Connect Tick-Tock. That's the game that I've been playing. I've been playing on the Nintendo Switch. And this is also an RPG game. And it revolves around a little girl. She's around, I think, like 8 or 9 years old. And she unravels a mystery that's going on in her town.
Oh.
And she needs to figure it out. And so, yeah, so it's a turn-based RPG. In this game, so I will say this. So this starts off, and when you're playing it, I don't know if you ever, like, do you ever see this in Netflix? Maybe your kid is maybe too old for this kind of stuff, but like the kids always want to, like, when we watch Netflix, they're like, oh, that cartoon looks really cool. And you click on it and you're like, oh, this looks like a DreamWorks cartoon. And you start playing it and it looks really cool. And then as it goes on, you're like, this is not a DreamWorks cartoon. And then it's, the luster kind of starts to fade away, I guess, from the,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, I hear you. Yeah. It's like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah. And that's a kind of what reminded me of this. Like, the game opens up and it reminds me very much of like a DreamWorks wannabe cartoon. Cause it's like it has this really like DreamWorks cartoony kind of look to it. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And it opens up against this world and it's just a vast world. It looks really neat. And then you start playing it and, there's something about the game. It's very railroad. It looks like an open world, but it's not. It's like you are a railroad. Your map, you can't go anywhere you want. You have to kind of just follow the path where the map is. And then even in areas where the map might branch off, it's going to block you because you can't go into that area right now. And I was like, okay. So, you play along, whatever. And the combat's really easy. It's not complicated. And as the story progresses, like every time you run into a character or get into a different area, there's loading screens, and there are a lot of loading screens.
Oh, not the loading screen.
Yeah, and I would say there was probably an hour to almost 2 hours before like I had anything of substance in the game. It took forever before anything actually happened in this game. And as I'm playing this game, I thought to myself, like, maybe the intended audience isn't me. Maybe it really is 9-year-olds because, I mean, it's written very much from a perspective of like, it's very kiddish. Right. And the combat's super easy. I mean, it's not like the easiest thing, but it is like an RPG light, kind of. That's
what I was going to say. Like, based on what you're saying, it sounds like an entry-level RPG.
Yeah. And then as I was playing this, I was wondering to myself, is this really a game for kids that age to get into RPGs? And I think it might be. And in that case, I actually think that the kids would really love this game.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you said that. Because it's one thing I've always felt, and I've been reviewing games on and off for a very long time. And one thing that really aggravates me is when a reviewer bashes a game without understanding the audience it's intended for.
Yeah,
it's just bad journalism when somebody does that.
Yeah,
and for you to say that it's an entry level RPG, it's an RPG for kids. Somebody who plays, Kingdom Hearts on the hardest mode or something like that is not going to get the same enjoyment out of it as a kid that's just getting into RPGs.
Yeah.
It reminds me kind of, even with the art style, it kind of reminds me of Costume Quest.
Yeah. I mean, because Costume Quest is very like cartoony like that too. So yeah, I can see that. And there's some interesting aspects to the game. I mean, I don't want to give it away too much because there's some interest. You do have to stick with it, before things actually start becoming interesting. And maybe that's the one thing that I'm thinking to myself, that kids might struggle with it because of the fact that, it doesn't grab their attention right away. But I do think that kids that are probably 2nd, 3rd grade, where like their learning comprehension or the reading comprehension is pretty good, and they can start playing games and they can start understanding how an RPG can work. It's really straightforward, and I think this would be a really good game for them. It really does like dip their toes into the RPG world. So with that in mind, I mean, I can't fault it for that. So I also give this game a B+ because of the fact that, it isn't geared towards me. It's geared towards kids that are looking for, or parents are looking for a good game for kids. And that's the other thing too. I will say that, if you're looking for a game, if you have a kid that's in 2nd or 3rd grade and you're looking for something that can get them introduced to an RPG and that would be something that you can trust that would be safe, like this is a good game for them as well.
So you would say that Destiny Connect Tick-Tock Travelers is worth your time? Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. I would. I mean, yeah. If you are looking this holiday season, if you're looking for a game on Nintendo Switch and you have a kid, you want to get them into RPGs so they have never experienced RPGs before, this is a really good entry level for them.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, so those are the games we wanted to review. We do have one last thing I want to do before we call the show quits, and that is we do have a giveaway. So this last couple weeks, we've been saying, hey, if people leave reviews on our podcast or on iTunes, that they could be entered into a drawing for the game Death Stranding, and we did pick a winner. And the winner is Cardiac Drop.
Woo!
So congratulations. I'll be reaching out to you so that way I can send you the game. So thanks everybody for the entries. And yeah, it was fun. So with that, this is it. This is the last sign off we'll have.
Roger, it has been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and to work with you through the show. And I wish nothing but the best for you as well as for Christian and Blue and myself. I need to wish the best for myself as well.
No, it was a real pleasure working with you and Blue and Christian, and it was a lot of fun. We grew this podcast. We made it into something that was way bigger than anything I ever dreamed it would be when I first started this 3 years ago. And it was awesome just hanging out with you guys and talking with you. And we'll still, that's not going to go away. I'm going to still talk to you guys. And it was fun. It was fun interacting with our listeners and getting to know our listeners. And, again, that's not going away. I mean, Gamerheads, I'm going to have that go dark, the Twitter account, but, you can also find me on Twitter as well. So, if you want to follow me, you can certainly do that. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And, I made a lot of really good friends and really good experience, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah. And a special thank you to everybody who's been listening to the show. Whether last week was your first episode or whether you've been listening since the very beginning and everything in between. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to the show, to comment on all the Twitter questions, to submit your reviews, things like that. So thank you so much. It was a whole community effort for this. So
yeah, it was awesome. So thank you. And with that, Mike, thank you for joining me in the last show. I know Christian and Blue weren't able to make it, but I said, hey, let's just, you and I had some reviews that we had to do, and I'm like,
we got to get her done.
Can you help me get these last reviews done too? So we had some obligations there. So thank you, Mike, for doing that with me one last time.
Always a pleasure.
All right, and thank you, listeners, for giving us a listen. And like Mike said, it was a community, and I'm very happy to have connected with all of you. And, if you want to hear more, I mean, we're still out there. You can still go and listen to old shows. That's an option. So go listen to shows in the past.
Yeah. And don't be a stranger. Follow us on Twitter. Chat with us. We're not, going to disappear.
Yeah. So, and I still plan to stream every once in a while too, when I get a chance. So
yeah, same here.
Okay. With that, we'll call it the end. So, all right. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
So long.
And welcome back to another episode of Gamerheads Reviews. I am joined again by my friend Mike.
Hello.
And Mike, today we're reviewing the game Caravan Stories.
Ooh. I'm assuming there are caravans in it?
There are caravans in it.
Oh. Are there stories?
There are some stories, I would say. So, yes.
Well, then it's aptly named.
Yeah. It is. It is a game that's out on the PlayStation 4 right now, but it actually started out as a mobile game prior to that. In 2017, I believe it came out as a mobile game. And now this is a mobile port to the PlayStation 4. So it's a RPG MMO, or MMORPG, I guess. That's probably the better way of saying it. And, so this game, there's a story behind it where like some creatures attack or something like that. And you gotta, I don't know. The story didn't really grab me.
It's your pretty much your JRPG story.
Yeah.
Monsters appear from other realms.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And then you gotta go and save them, and then people or stop them, I should say, the people. And as you go around, I mean, it's very similar in regards to like any RPG where you go around and people have different quests for you, and you can go on this different quest, and then you go fight, and yeah. So it's very similar to an RPG, like any open world RPG that might be out there. So one thing that I will say about this game, the things that I liked about this game, so the game is a free-to-play game.
Free is good?
Free is good. And the graphics are actually really good in this game. I was actually quite astounded by how good, astounded, both of those words, by how good the graphics were. And the music is good too. I actually thought the music was really well done. The story is okay. The writing is okay. The weird thing about that, so I was just kind of going a little bit of the flip and the flop, but some of your characters will have voice acting, right? So they'll start talking, and then they'll just stop in the middle of the middle of what they're saying, and the text will keep reading, and then they'll pick it up again, and you're like, what happened here? Either two things happen. One, there's lots of glitches, which I think there might be, or two, text was added later on after they did recording, and they're just like, yeah, we'll just add it in. The player will never notice.
Right.
Well, I noticed, and it was jarring. It was weird. It would be one thing, because I've seen this before. Octopath Traveler does this. Other games do this, right? So you'll have like cutscenes or something where the character will be talking, and they'll do the voiceovers. But then when you get out of that, then they'll just go up and talk to characters, and it's just text, right?
Right.
Seen that before, but not while they're talking, and then the audio just cuts out. And then you're like, what is going on? And then the audio comes back in, and you're like, okay, was that a glitch? Did you make a mistake? What is going on here? But the graphics are good. The music is really good. For a free RPG game. I didn't think it was. I mean, I was surprised at how good the game looked.
I did see. That's the thing is, I really liked the art style. It reminded me of Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah. It did, and that was great. That was awesome. I was actually, like I said, I was like, wow, this is a free to play game, and it looks really good. I didn't play it on mobile. It would be interesting to see how that translates to mobile. Right. But for the PlayStation 4, it looked really good. And that's probably where my things I liked about the game ends, actually. So if you, this is going to be funny for me to say this because I would say that I used to be a hardcore gamer, but now because of where I'm at in my life with, how much time I have and such with games, I become more of a casual gamer where I can just pick up a game and play a game casually. But this takes casual gaming to a whole new level. So part of the flip and flop here, you just put auto attack and you just sit there and it just attacks, which is so weird. I mean, but you can turn that off. But even if you turn that off, it's still auto attack. You're just telling your character, okay, attack, and then it has a cooldown, and you sit there and watch him attack, and then you're like, okay, attack again. It's weird. Right. Yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit. I did play it also for not as long as you did, but the battle system was a little odd for me because, I mean, I was moving my character around this, it's you encounter a monster and it goes to a small arena, like a lot of RPGs. Yeah. And the character, like you said, he automatically attacks, and you get to move him around the board. So I don't know. It just moving felt awkward. Yeah, weird. It's just I don't know. It's just maybe because it's just something new that I haven't ever done before. But it just for some reason it didn't really grab me. Yeah. And the camera, I don't know if this was a problem or if you encountered this problem, but the camera angles for me were weird because you'll see the enemy. And then your characters will just start swarming on the enemy, and then it's just a bunch of stuff going on, and I don't even know what's happening here. What's happening? Yeah. It was just a weird... I felt like I had no control over the character. The other thing that you could do, which also plays into this whole... you don't have to do this, but it plays into the whole casual aspect of the game, is that if you pick up a quest, you can just say, okay, auto run to that quest, and your character will just run to the quest. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, am I even playing this game? It's weird. I'm trying to think how that makes sense as a mobile game. Yeah. I guess that makes sense because, just you can't be moving forward on your phone the whole time. Yeah. No, I agree. And that's the thing. There's a lot of aspects from a mobile perspective that are in this game. It's fine. It's just, it's a free to play game. So, I wasn't expecting to redesign the whole game. It's just weird because it's a very, very mobile-esque. Translation itself was kind of wonky from mobile to... Yeah. Are there any mobile games that really had a strong move to console, now that I'm thinking about it? There's a couple. Galaxy, the game that I've been playing. I liked that one. That's a mobile game that went to the Switch, and that played really, really well. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, if you want to go really old, Angry Birds on the Wii U was. That's true. Oh, and the 3DS. Yeah. So, the other thing that it's in this game, so you do get so the leveling in this game. So there's some things I liked. Aspects I liked about it. So it's pretty in depth actually for an RPG. It's so weird. You got this casual aspect of it from a battling perspective, but from a crafting perspective, it's actually kind of deep. There's actually quite a bit to do. And you get a caravan. So that's where this caravan stories comes in. So it's this machine, crab-like thing that carries you around. And it actually joins you in battle, too. So you don't get it right away. You have to, unlock it, but it doesn't take long to do that. But in that caravan, that's where like you can go inside. That's like your home, and you can craft things. You unlock different machines that can craft different weapons and different currency and gems and stuff like that. So you use gems in this game to buy items or loot boxes. So there's loot boxes in this game.
Oh.
And you can play the game without spending any money on the loot boxes because there's plenty of drops, but you're not going to get good drops.
Yeah.
And not that you have to have like great weapons, but there's star ratings, so like, you know, rarity, right, for these weapons.
Right.
And if you spend money on the loot boxes, you will get better weapons. And you can get the premium loot boxes, which get you even better items, right?
Oh.
So in full disclosure, somebody reached, well, not somebody, publisher reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to review this game?" And I said, "Sure." And they said, "Okay, well, here's, you know, some free gems to get you started." So I was able to unlock some of those with, you know, the gems that they gave me to get some of the weapons. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to play it. Like the first couple hours I played the game, I didn't spend any of the loot that they gave me or any of the gems that they gave me. I wanted to see what it would be like if I didn't spend any money on it. And you can play it. It's not that you can't play it. It's just that you're not going to get as great of weapons as if you were to spend money on the game.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's probably rarity. You probably will get some of the drops, maybe sometimes, but chances are you're going to get not. Again, I mean, you'll get them, but I think there's still a random chance that you get better ones when you buy them as well. But when I was playing it for free, or when didn't spend any gems, I didn't get any of the rare weapons when they dropped. But the leveling itself is kind of weird. I didn't quite understand it. It's not very intuitive. You kind of have to like read through it. This is one thing that I will say about RPGs. If you put it out an RPG, I don't know if this happens to you, Mike, at all, and you pick it up again, and you're like, "What was I doing? Yeah. How do I do this? What am I doing?" This is one of those games that if you're not constantly playing it and you go back to it, you know, put it down for a while, come back, you're like, what? How do I do this again? What am I doing here? For a casual battle system, there's a lot of depth for the leveling system, but I'm not sure it's like well done. It's a little convoluted. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it at all. I mean, and it has to do with, I mean, you do get different gems and you can spend those to level up your characters. So, I mean, there's plenty of those that you get for free. So it's not like it's going to cost you anything, but.
Right.
But, if you want to level faster, you want to spend money on some of those gems. I don't know. It's playable, but for a free to play game, there's a lot of gotcha moments for sure.
Gotcha. Well, you know.
So I don't know. Was there something else? I mean, you played it for a little bit. Was there anything that you?
It wasn't. Here's the thing: it wasn't from what I've played, and like I said, I didn't put as much time into it as you did. But from what I played, it seemed like, for somebody like me who it's difficult for me to get into a good RPG. There wasn't anything that really set it apart for me.
Yeah.
It seemed like a very run-of-the-mill RPG. I loved the art style, and that's what really got me into it at first.
Yeah.
But it didn't grab me. Maybe it's because of the mobile aspects of it and that battle system. Like, if I'm going to play RPG, I like to have a battle system a certain way, and I personally prefer traditional turn-based. But in this situation, if it does the small arena, okay, I can try to work with it. I'm just not a fan of the auto attacking. I'm not a fan of the auto running.
Yeah.
But again, that's not necessarily, the game itself is not broken. It's just a design choice that I personally am not a fan of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know. It's
just a playable game.
It's a playable game, but
enjoyable if you are really deep into RPGs
that's the
and you don't have any money.
Yeah. And yeah. And if you're willing, I mean, if you're willing to put some time into it, you know, and grind a lot to get some of the things that you want, yeah, there's, you know, this is there for you and it's free. But it is, I don't know. It just feels like a mobile game. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is, I don't know if there's going to be a trend where we're going to see more mobile games come to platforms or not. I don't know. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out in the future from mobile perspective. So, my final thoughts, my final grade on the game, I gave it a C. I thought it was, you know, like I said, it's a playable RPG. It doesn't do anything that's outstanding. The aspects of grinding for items can be tedious. It's one of those games that if you're going to continue to play and you constantly play, I think you would enjoy, but once you step away and come back, you got to reteach yourself some of the things that's going on in the game. Cause there's quite a bit of mechanics going on, from a, you know, crafting and an RPG standpoint, but what, the auto attack system turned me off. I just didn't like that. I didn't feel like I had any control over my characters. So
Gotcha.
My final grade was a C on this game.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Like I said, not a terrible game, but it's very run of the mill. Yeah. And if you're not a fan of mobile style games, this one might be a turn off.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, listeners, thank you for joining us again for another Gamerheads Reviews. If you like what you hear, you can go to our website, and our website is gamerheadspodcast.com. There we have all our new episodes, new reviews, our articles that we write as well. You can also check us out on iTunes, Google Play, and Buzzsprout, wherever you get your podcasts. We also are on Pandora now as well. So if you're a Pandora listener, you can hear our podcasts there. And we also have a YouTube channel as well. So you can check us out on YouTube and check out our reviews and new episodes. And I'll be doing more Let's Plays there as well. So, all right. Thanks, Mike, for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
And listeners, thank you for joining us. Have a good day.
So long.